welcome to the Omen Path podcast, where today we've got a couple of special guests. But first of all, Don, my friend, how you doing?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, an honour to be here, as ever.
Just a little shy and a little bit late to the podcast. I hear dinner, or you had lunch plans, is that right?
Yeah, I actually went to Ocean Fish Platter. Had a large cod and chips, and their chips are very, very good there. So,
okay. Hashtag not sponsored. Yeah.
yeah. No, just very good.
Okay, so today's podcast, we have got the guys from the Artoria Guild joining us, and we're going to be discussing building a community and Commander in general. Joseph and Sam from the committee, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, pretty good,
Great.
thank you. Yeah, it's like to be here, seeing behind the curtains, you know?
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
You guys have already seen a mistake or two, so it's fine. You really are seeing behind the curtains. No, thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to having a chat with you. The first thing we're going to talk about is, obviously, we haven't discussed the latest Commander bans on our pod. So just after we done our last recording, we had an announcement that was 4 quite big cards were banned in Commander, and I think it's safe to say that it has shook the community pretty hard. Would you agree, Dom?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the cards that were banned were Mana Crypt, which was out of left field. That's been in the format since its inception. Jeweled Lotus, which, okay, it's been there for a few years now. I think we can all say, well, maybe it was a mistake, but it's survived this long.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those cards in particular from this ban list have been printed as Chase Mythic Rares in recent premium sets as well, making it even more surprising. The other two, which nobody is going to miss, is Nadu and Dockside Extortionist.
Yeah, some pretty. I think Dom's put that very well. We've got Mana Crypt's been around for a long, long time, and definitely felt like a left field one. Sam, obviously, I know you're a big Commander player as well. Were you as surprised as the rest of us to hear these bans come through?
When it first came out, I was genuinely taken aback. I thought it was an April Fool's. It was the gravity of it. 4 cards in one. I mean, Nadu, who cares? Like, that was expected. Really bad design, and admittedly, Wizards design mistake at the last minute. Dockside, I can see the argument for, particularly in high power games, EDH, getting into consistent loot where it's focused on recurring Dockside and going mana positive. The other two, I was surprised, and as you said, Don, poster child or poster children of Commander, particularly Jewel Lotus, and the recent reprint, particularly Mana Crypt in Ixalan, Lost Caverns, they made it all the more surprising.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. Joseph, got some thoughts?
You probably just echo it, right? I think it's a format where, because of you look at a standard and modern, any kind of sealed event as well, you've got such a smaller pool cards that you can pick from, and you can see a very clear metagame. Whereas with Commander, because of the sheer breadth of cards that are available to you, I think then suddenly when you've got cards that are in almost every high power deck being banned, and are staples of that, and it's always surprising. And I think in particular, Dom, you mentioned they were the printed in sets recently as like the Mythic Slot Chase. I think that was the bit that really kind of, I don't want to say like they shot themselves in the foot by doing it, but it was just really unexpected. And that was the thing that made it. It wasn't like they hadn't seen a reprint in 3 years or something like that. And that was a really surprising bit for me.
Yeah, I feel the shock is probably. Look, I think it's also worthwhile to make a point that it is a shock, and a lot of people were quite heavily invested here. That has caused anger, and I think we can all agree here that anger being directed at individuals that it shouldn't have been is unacceptable and should have never happened, and I hope we never see again. But I do just want to touch on that shock factor, because actually you've all 3 of you have just said fantastic points, which is, particularly when you've had reprints within the last year or so, quite heavily as well, for it to then just be whipped out from under people's feet. I think that's obviously has caused a shock factor. Look, from my perspective, I kind of agree with what was said earlier. I think Nadu was a bit of an obvious one. I think that is probably a solid ban. You know, look, this is coming from someone that had a Nadu deck and played it. You know, it's just gross. So I understand it. Dockside, they've had that. Yeah, yes, you did. Look, Dockside, I personally wouldn't have liked to have seen it banned, but I can understand why they've banned it. They've had their eye on it for a while. I can make my peace with that one as well. I think it is the other two, the fast mana. Don made a really good point. They have, you know, there's probably shouldn't have made Jeweled Lotus, but it is what it is. It's in the format. I am generally a player that believes in playing from the pool of cards that should be played. And I know that's what the ban list is for. I think there should be less bans, not more of them, personally. But they've done this, and we now have to see how the dust settles, and we'll make our peace with it. Because at the end of the day, look, I don't want to be flippant and say take the monetary value out of it. It won't be an issue. It kind of will be still to a certain degree, but you know, I do think we all, as Commander players and as creators of ourselves, all sitting here, we need to sort of make that acceptance of, do you know what, that's what's happened, and we're gonna have to move on past this. You know, for the good of the format.
I think the majority of the anger comes from the fact that these were £100 chase cards or more for some of these versions, right? The extended art and the neon. Mana crypts and things like that. So you're directly plucking money out of people's pockets effectively. And yeah, these cards in particular, since they were mythic rare chase, they reprint them, but they don't go down in price. So I mean, I don't think there would be much, if any, anger if these were $5 cards or £5 cards. You know.
No,
I agree.
No.
Yeah. I agree. But that's also. Go on, Joe. Sorry.
Oh, Joe, I was just going to say this is like a risk that we have to accept when we play a game which has an evolving rule set, right? Like, it's not like we're playing chess where the rules are the rules, and if you spend £100 on pieces, you know, they're going to you're always going to have a bishop, right? Like,
Queen got banned.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, you do have to accept it. I think what's been really interesting is because I quite enjoy looking at the finances of Magic the Gathering a lot, and I do not condone it as an investment vehicle. I'll put that on the record. But what's been really interesting is some of those like neon, you know, the more collectibles, the inventions, the neon arts, they haven't dropped, or they didn't drop in price quite as dramatically, because they're still being seen as, you know, the people that are really buying a lot of those at the higher price points are buying them for their collectible value rather than their play value, right? And I think that's been a really interesting thing. Like, you know, I own there's a couple of cards that I own which are chase cards, which I've purchased after a big life event or something like that as a reward. And whether that tanks in value tomorrow, for play value, that will, you know, that card for me will always have that kind of sentimental value. And that's been really interesting to see how, like, the Magic market has reacted to some of those kind of more exclusive versions actually staying pretty stable. Yeah. It's been kind of cool to see from a purely like numbers point of view.
Yeah, I think. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think obviously the fallout of this ban was the folding of the Commander format under Wizards' control, and those cards that they did come down a little bit, but they bounced straight back up once Wizards took control, because people think, well, maybe they'll unban them, but I 100% don't think they will. But yeah, it's really interesting. And also, since Wizards have taken over the format, so now the rules committee has been dissolved effectively, and they're helping transition the bannings and decisions over to Wizards. And they're creating this bracket system. It's probably a topic for another time, maybe. But
yeah, I think when we get some more information, I think that's definitely worth discussing once we've got more information. I think more's released around Vegas, I believe, a couple of times.
The reserve list has started to be impacted by the fact that they've taken over as well. That reserve list cards are going down in price because they can't reprint them, so they're not going to make any money on them. Will they just ban them all?
I think there's two things here, aren't there, that has been described. So financial value of those cards has created some of the vitriol, and I might add mostly by faceless wallies online, which we don't condone, just unbelievably wild stuff, frankly. And that is maybe a topic for another time. That's the link to Wizards taking over, and they have obviously got some kind of financial motive. Obviously, Gavin leads the format. There's some great people there. The stuff behind that, which might cause or has caused some people concern. The other area is around how you govern the Commander format in and itself, which is what they're trying to do with the bracket system, and we wait to hear more of that. It'll be very interesting. I think the reason those cards have soared in popularity, not just because they're chase cards, because they push decks to that higher extreme, whether that's in CDH or in levels below that. And people don't have a mechanism to try to evaluate their deck, and so they inevitably get into this arms race. We've all probably done it, with friends or other groups where we want our deck to be more and more powerful. So I think they were seen as the pinnacle. So there's something there around how we govern the format itself, which is interesting. Be good to see what comes out in the next few months.
Yeah, no, I think you've made some really interesting and some very important points there as well. I do think actually the one thing that does need to be said as well, just because a card is expensive, it doesn't always mean it's powerful, but also more importantly, and this is the important one, if it's an expensive card, it doesn't mean it should be it shouldn't be protected from a potential ban. So let's just say, for argument's sake, Nardo was big money, and it chopped a ban from Modern first, and you'd arguably say probably about 75% of the value had probably been cut out from underneath its knees. Well, that's what happens in those type of formats. And then obviously, pretty much since, I actually haven't checked since these latest bans, but I suspect Nardu's probably down to pence now. But it is what it is. But I think it's really important that if you can't have cards that are so aggressively expensive, they can't be in a position where they can't be banned because of this reason that's kind of just happened. But they need to find a halfway house. I still feel like if they would have said Nardu and Dockside, I think we all would have made our peace with it quite easily. And I think if they would have said, we're keeping an eye on Mana Crypt and we're keeping an eye on Jeweled Lotus, that gives people the out that if they're invested, they'll go, right, I want to get rid of this. I want to release this equity before it gets pulled out from underneath me. And I think, just come back to what you were saying, Sam, I think that's 100% where that vitriol comes from. That shock factor of that money. Dom said it as well. Someone did. It's like someone taken out of your pocket, effectively. No one wants to have that sensation and feeling, and neither should it do, to be quite honest. I mean, the funny thing is with Magic the Gathering finances, we all talk about in terms of the value of a card. The value of the card is actually the raw material, pence.
Yeah.
So
not even that, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's not. But that's not how this works, and we need to accept that. I know there are many different views about it. I know people that would never in a million years spend more than £30 on a card or anything like that because of this reason. Why should I do that when I can proxy it? Well, that's again for another day.
I think the equivalent of this in terms of monetary value is when, say, Modern Horizons 1 or Modern Horizons 2 comes out, and then you're basically invalidating the whole of the modern meta.
So that's a little different, because I think what you're effectively doing is you are physically rotating a format in a format that is technically doesn't rotate. It's
with Commander though, obviously Wizards, say you've got a bucket of cards, Wizards they put a hose in that bucket and they've been printing like significantly better and better and better cards into Commander, right?
Yep,
so at some point it's going to overflow, and you need to slap that tape on the leak in the bucket, and that's what these bans I think we're trying to do, because the format has got faster and faster and faster.
But this is not a competitive format. This is a friendly, inclusive format that if I sat down with all you three and Sam says, do you know what? I just don't want to play with these cards, I'm pretty sure both me, Dom, and Joseph would go, yeah, no worries. We'll go to something that is a a perceived lower power or anything like that, or just not played them. Like, and this is the beauty of Commander. This is the beauty of it, and the worst part of Commander is that we are having these discussions. We are sitting down with people. You know, the rule zero conversation happens, and we sit down and we play a game together. Now, we all know each other, so I know we'd all sit down around the cover, and we probably wouldn't even have this conversation because we would probably say, what decks are we playing? One of you would go, I'm going to play this Kenrith deck, and we all go, okay, we roughly know the level. Where this really becomes the problem is with either newer players, particularly, or players that are effectively trying to, this is probably a 7. It's not a 7. It's a high 8 or a 9. Like, we all know those type of people.
I think that point around new players is really interesting, Alex. I think that's maybe where some of it starts to fall down. The amount of product that's been released over the last 2 to 3 years, and the clear attempt to try to influence other players with stuff like Universal Beyond, which we've seen, and and all for it because we love new players, we love new products, we love to create new decks and think about new lines of play. But the power level, to Dom's point, has crept up, and so people will play a commander without a clue as to how relatively powerful it is in comparison, and then you naturally find yourself again in that arms war. And sometimes that might feel really like left field for something, like, why are you attacking me? What? So somebody like made a new attractor deck and like it would get hard target and they'll be like, why are you doing that? It's like, because it's attractor, and because like we know the history. So there is something there around the natural level rising. And so there's something around how do you, to your point, Dom, put that flat that stick on that bucket.
I think this is, and it's funny when, and I know we're not going into the new kind of power level kind of conversation. I'm going to skirt around it kind of gently, maybe dip my toe in, because for me it's really interesting is that all of the power level 7, right? Everyone's deck is power level 7, right? There's that kind of saying, and my 7 and your 7, if we meet up and play for the first time, are completely different. Yep. My playgroup 7 is different to that playgroup their 7. And there's no, you've got the couple that does it go infinite? Right, yeah, that probably puts it around or whatever. But that's what I'm really interested to see what happens with this new kind of, let's say, framework. Is this going to give a way to standardize that conversation, which is easier? And that's all I'll say on it. And that's why I think when, you start bringing in kind of newer players into that, maybe it'll make that easier. Hopefully it will.
I think they'll end up slapping, this is a level 2 deck on the pre-con boxes or something, maybe. We'll see that. Or at least they'll have some kind of leaflet inside that explains, like, the bracket system eventually.
Depends what they come up with. But
yeah,
I think
it'll be interesting. So in the next couple of weeks, they're going to release this bracket system, or the start of it. We'll be able to have a better look and see, what it achieves. But I think, actually saying, my deck's a level 2, that it's really going to help new players more than anyone else. It's,
I don't know, Alex's face.
Yeah. He doesn't, because he's a level 4 player. All of his decks are level 4.
Everything's a 4.
So it is useless to you, isn't it? This bracket system.
No, that's look. We've got something coming up where we're going to be discussing this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But the issue, my perspective from this is we are already struggling trying to identify levels between 1 and 10. If you was to then divvy it up into 4 slices, I think it's going to become even. Those areas, those grey areas, are just going to get wider. I think it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. It isn't the levels that are the problem. It's the people or us. Yeah, it's us. The perception of our levels, other people's levels, and how we discuss this. I think again, that's all I'm going to say on this, because we are talking about this in another part, and we're going to really dig down this because I think it's really, really interesting. But you've all made fantastic points. Personally, I think this, and unless they identify this a lot cleaner, it's just going to muddy the waters, is what I think. But what I would also say is they've got the right people on the team. Gavin Verhey is an extremely smart man. He's well invested, and he's not going to want to let this get any worse than it already is. So if anyone can do it, I think Gavin on board is going to be the man that's going to do it. And do you know what? Coming back to what you were saying, Dom, earlier about a pre-con coming out that says this is a grid 7 or grid 2 or whatever it is. I do not have a problem with that. I think that actually should be happening. That should be a good thing, because you can look on the back as a new player and go, you can turn to your LGS owner and sort of say, what does this grid system mean? What's this 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever it may be? And it can be simply explained. And if I get a 2, you get a 2, Joseph gets a 2, and Sam gets a 2, we should roughly be the same level. That's got to make it easier for new players, surely.
Alex, you'll know this better than me, but I feel like I've seen some vintage packs and stuff like that with like expert on or something. Like,
that's exactly what used to happen. Yeah. That's exactly. You used to have exactly what you used to have in expert and basic and all that sort of stuff. That I think that was a 3-tier system, if I remember rightly. But again, with wizards involved, there will probably be a lot more clarity, and because they are the people that are printing it as well, I think that clarity should then be a bit more obvious. Because let's be honest, I don't know, I bring along a friend of mine that's never played Commander again, and we sit down together and we're talking about it, and we start talking about levels. He's like, I have no idea what this levels is. I mean, let's be honest, that's a hell of an undertaking, dragging a new player into Commander anyway. But, if you then start talking about levels, he's like, but what's a level 1? Like, because what is a level 1? Anyway, let's not start that conversation.
Your next podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly. That's
I'm
just
going to make it level 0, which is all just vanilla creatures. It's going to be great.
It's just basic lands.
I've got a pile of cards next to me. I'm literally going to turn them upside down, draw 99 cards, put Commander into it, off we go, and hopefully it plays. How does that work?
Love that. I think I know we want to move on from this topic. Just the last thing around that system, which was in the 90s, actually. I remember buying some of those packs. What a wonderful time to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
And the game was so much simpler. So expert then would look like child's play now. The relative complexity of the game has really, really advanced, and there's not been much repetition about it in terms of guidance.
Just quickly on that, actually, the Command Fest I attended a couple of weeks ago, actually, I done pack wars with Baz from the Shatter Gang, and we opened some alliance packs. So, and I tell you what, the level is so much slower and it's so much lower. But, like is probably mentioned on the pod, and we've all discussed it many times, so those older sets, you've got some absolute banging cards. But you also have this 4 mana free creature.
Yeah, I mean, the game is
unplayable now. It's
hugely into a creature game, hasn't it? Effectively.
Yeah, it's completely changed. The game has completely changed. So, and I suppose maybe that's the ultimate thing. We can tie this all into a nice little bow. Magic has changed, and it needs to change maybe into something else. And I know people get a bit afraid of change, but I think as a community, let's be honest, the community's not dead. Commander is still not dead. We can all still go sit down around a table and play the exact same card. Yes, we're missing 4 cards, but we push that to one side, but we can still all go sit down and have some fun, and surely that's what Commander's got to be about.
All day.
Yeah, I'm just not going to have a Rule 0 conversation and let you use your Dual Lotus, though. I'll say that.
I'll be honest, if I sat down with someone and they pulled up a Jeweled Lotus, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest, but that's either here or there. I will be interested to see what they do with silver borders as well, because actually I think that is that going to open a door? Is it going to be? I don't know. From the building perspective, I love the idea of it, but I know there's some real problematic silver border cards. So, are we going to be having another conversation about this? And we're not up to our knees in the muck. We're up to our waist. I mean, like, who knows? Who knows? But anyway, okay. So I'm glad we discussed that, because it did need to be talked about. But today, the main thing we're going to be talking about is communities and building communities. Sam, why don't you tell us a bit about the Artoria Guild? What you guys are all about.
Yeah, so the guild started last year, actually. So it was started by friends and committee members and glorious leaders, Lee and Billy, a couple of Magic players who wanted to go and find other people, other like-minded, cool people to play Magic with. So they were from Essex, and they started to go to LGSs around the area. So I met them actually in Shuffleboard Game Cafe in Suffolk. And they started a Discord, and from then it's just spiraled, just really spiraled and grown. Now, Joseph and I are on the committee, the 6 of us, and we try and continue to grow the guild, go to new LGSs, host events, try to encourage new players. It's really, for us, exactly what you've reflected, Alex. It's all about community. We love the community. We love how kind and inclusive it is. We love the friendships that we've grown. We love Magic. We just want to keep growing that. And so we've tried to create something special and very focused on that, like key USP. But it's not in it. We're not in it for us. We just really want to meet new people and get other people to engage with each other.
Yep, I think you've put that very eloquently. I know both me and Dom have attended a few of the events, and we've thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. And there's one thing it definitely is a good feeling community. Definitely, I think you guys have built something really, really commendable, and it's growing impressively. Joseph, how did you get involved in this, and where's this going moving forward?
Where's it going? Oh man, what a question! So it's funny. So I had no connection to any of the guys. I was on Instagram one day, and they were doing like a giveaway, I think, for like a deck box. It was just a giveaway for a deck box on Instagram, and I was like, oh, screw it, yeah, I'll reshare or whatever. And watched a couple of the videos, because at the time, Bill and Lee had done a couple of videos on YouTube. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And they mentioned a Discord. And I didn't actually have Discord on my phone then. Like, I had it signed up from way ages ago, hadn't been on it for ages, so I hopped in. And it was just this group of people who just woke up someone says morning in a general chat every morning. It was just this group of people where, there was just a steady conversation happening. And it was a really interesting evolution, because we started off the first events. It was a lot of kind of spell table as we're kind of coming out the back of lockdown, and there was a bit of kind of stuff happening. We were kind of back up to normal. But lots of spell table was happening, and as well, everyone's got like own lives, so it's a bit easy to kind of squeeze some games in. And we started off doing these events at a village hall, and we were going and we were paying for a village hall, and the guys were paying out of their pocket commendably, and we just had some people turn up at village hall, and we did, I think, maybe 3 or 4. And every time we went, it got more expensive. And I'm pretty sure that these like people who ran this village hall just saw like a load of people. I don't know what they thought we were doing, but I don't know.
The new cash cow has just walked in.
Yeah, literally. It was so fun. So we started to build this community, and then like mid last year, Bill and Lee, who founded the Artoria Guild and still lead it to this day. They kind of put a call out for, look, we want to get some people to kind of help out, and we want to make a committee, and a few of us kind of put our hands up, and we got picked. And since then, the beauty of it has been someone's always been able to give it some attention, and we kind of had the idea of, actually, let's start going to LGSs on a Sunday where they're quiet. We can kind of, get some feet in the door for them on a typically quieter day. And then we can also get some promos, because we're encouraging people to come. We can get some promos and we can start giving those out. And I think that's when we kind of really, a rocket kind of went up the back of the guild, right? Like, we started to really grow then, and it was really cool. And kind of more and more people came, and I mean, since then, it's just grown exponentially. It's been crazy, and we're all kind of at the head of it with our own lives. And everyone does this; is no one's job. We all do it for the love of it, and it's just become this thing. But still, to this day, you wake up every morning, and someone's just said "morning" in the general chat. It's like it's become this real community.
Yeah, I see it. Like, I've been on the Discord. I've been to a few of the events quite a few times, and I am part of that community, and it does amaze me. It's. I do quite commonly see yourself, Sam, or Glenn, who's another committee member. There's always saying "Good morning, guys," and there's always conversations going on. It's look, I think it's a real, something that you should all be quite proud of, because it's a good community as well. There's, I know with every community there's always the potential, but I mean, I certainly haven't seen it you know, in your guys. It's always been very open, inviting, particularly to newer players as well, which has always been fantastic. And I think it's a great place to be.
It's something that we really try and foster that, absolutely, particularly for new players. I think, you know, we've all been new once, and I always reflect on the when I first got back into paper Magic. So I played Magic in the 90s. Very sadly sold all of my very lovely expensive cards, probably about a £5. I had a load of bulk in a wine box, and I dread to think some of the stuff that was in there, and took a bit of a hiatus. And I think I got back into it, I think similar to you, Alex, over COVID. So I was playing Hearthstone, and I got into Arena, and I got really bored of like the meta game, and then I discovered Commander as like a Highlander format. I thought, oh yeah, this is for me. I wanted to play paper Magic, and I went to an LGS like without any cards, any deck, and I just asked somebody if I could sit down and observe a game, and it was terrifying. I had to muster up all of the courage I could. Like this weird guy coming up, like, can I just watch what you're doing? Everyone was really inviting, and I went to a pre-release. Everyone was really kind, took their time with me, and since that time, I've just always used that as a point of reference. Like when you're new, or you know, just generally in life, you should always treat people kindly, give them that little bit of attention, and you know, just foster that kind of environment. That's why, yeah, that sense of community we've got is really nice, really inclusive, and yeah, sometimes people need that.
I think you've just really hit the nail on the head there, which is we were all new once before. And I commonly, I mean, I'm very passionate about new players coming into the game. And I do always sit there and I think to myself, you know, I was new once. I was lucky enough because I had the confidence to walk into a strange shop and talk to strange people about a game that they all know inside and out, and stand there and say, I know nothing about this game, but I'm really interested. And it worked out. And I still say to this day, you know, most LGSs, they are the place to go to, and they have got the communities that will back you and help you get to play the game that we all love effectively. But what I also will say is that, and I've seen this firsthand, I've been at your events when you've had new players there, it's always nice to talk to them because they are absolutely loving it. The thing that's normally sort of said is I can't remember. I think it was one of the Stevenage ones. Not Stevenage, sorry. It was
Chelmsford.
Yeah, Chelmsford one.
Yeah.
And I can't remember her name, but she was sat close by. And you know, when you look at someone, you think you haven't got a clue what's going on. But I just sort of said to her, I was like, "How are you getting on? How's your day going?" She's just like, "Yeah, it's great," you know. And I'm like, you know, when did you start? And she was telling me all about it. And then I just sort of said to her, I said, I don't mean this to sound funny. I said, but you haven't got a clue what's going on, have you? She's like, no. I said, but you're having such a great time. She went, yeah. I said, I love it. She's not, do you know what I mean? She absolutely loved it. And I think that is the perfect environment to draw people in and let them grow into Magic the Gathering players, you know. And I think that's definitely something I've noticed from you guys. It's always been a real sort of like greenhouse of the community, really.
Yeah, I think we, you know, as well as the wider environment, it's always to those points that you've just specified, Alex, stuff around like, do you remember how you felt when you got your first pack? Like I remember the smell of the cards, like the feel of them, what ones I got, your first game, like when you made a really good play. Like, we should really encourage and support that kind of stuff. Like my favorite thread in our Discord is like the pools and mail day. Every single day somebody's got something. You know, I've got something every day anyway. And just like seeing people's excitement about the cards they've got.
This literally arrived when I got back from lunch. This was sat on the mat.
No, you had cards yesterday as well. It's constant.
I did, yeah. Oh, I'm building a new equipment deck.
Sorry,
no, just to like support people, because that feeling's really special, isn't it? That's why we all do it, because it makes us feel good. So yeah, to try and really support people with that. Yeah, I love it.
That's it.
Go on, Joe. Go on.
Oh, John, no, I was just going to say, and that's kind of what we've tried. You know, the Discord has really become the hub of the guild, and that is the heart of it. And I think what we've tried to do there is really try and create a bit of an inclusive environment, and little things like setting up the pools and mail day channel means people, you know, you go in there and you know people are going to be dropping their cards in. So you don't feel like you're trying to boast or show off. It's just like it's sharing in the excitement, because if someone buys a pack in an LGS, 9 times out of 10, they got 4 people stood around them. Not everyone can have that feel, not everyone can have that feeling all the time. So to try and recreate that virtually, it's just been wicked to see. And it's funny, I've got the Discord up open here, and since we've been on recording a podcast, it's like Pools and Mail Day has popped up again because someone posted something in there.
I love that. So just like, I just want to pitch this. So Dom, I know obviously you have a community that you've built on Discord as well. So just on building that community, how much time does it take, or did it take you, Dom? And then I can ask the boys how much time they're putting into this, and we can talk about the time.
I mean, my Discord is basically just a bunch of friends. It's like, it started off, it's called the League, EDH League Commission HQ, and it's basically a few years ago now. I was running an EDH points league, so you would get achievements in the game for doing certain things. So it's like every time you play a card, you read out the fluff text, and if you remember to do that for the whole game, you would score this achievement, and you would build up these points, and then at the end of the season, then you'd get a little wooden spoon or what have you. And that was that's how it built up. And then I started dropping all the previews in here, and a few people from the LGS have joined and things like that. I need to get back into posting the previews again, though. I kind of fell off because it was like 2 or 3 sets all at once, and I just couldn't keep up with it. But
there was that period of really
it was intense, and it's like I was on holiday as well. It's like, oh dear. But yeah, I mean, it takes a long time, and I think, I mean, your Discord is great because you can see upcoming events. There's always different channels you can talk about different things, and also you do giveaways in the Discord as well. So it really is, as you say, like a hub for the community to go. Or you're on the bus. Yeah, let's load up the Discord, see what's going on, and it's a great place to hang out.
It's I'm trying to kind of consider. I don't want it just to sound like we're coming on here and we're talking specifically about Artoria, and obviously we are, and whatever. But it's exactly that. We're trying to. The whole thing has been built around how much value can we give back to the community. Right, so like from the point where we've got loads of different LGSs in there, and they're all guild partners, and they have a channel where they can go and promote their events in that one channel, right? So that someone can log in, and if they're like, oh, I want to go play a store championship this weekend, or typically where's a pre-release firing and when, they can go in one channel which is free of clutter, and it just has those. But it also means that there's not spam in all the other channels. So, they can go and engage with it at the right places. And I think that ethos, as you said there, Dom, we've kind of tried to crowdsource as much of it, because you can't do it on your own, because it's so much time. It's so much time.
I think that's the saving grace behind having a good community behind you, and having good people on board with you. I mean, obviously, I know you guys, you have the committee together to, bench that load across, other shoulders other than just one person, because, obviously there's a lot of responsibility there. We all, none of us sat here right now, we're not getting paid for this, like you guys don't get paid for doing anything in the Artoria Guild. Me and Dom don't get paid for doing the pod, and I don't for any of the Instagram stuff. We do it because we're passionate and we love it, and we want to put something back into that community. Basically, we want to add something to the well, not just keep taking from the well.
And that's the beauty. So, like the giveaway you've got at the moment, actually. So, we've just surpassed 200 members, or we did a month ago, and so we've done a really big giveaway. But that's all. Anything that we do get back into the guild from any kind of events that we do, apples, whatever kind of like fun stuff we do at events that we host, it gets put back out into the community. So we've got this like significant like giveaway at the moment. If we don't take anything from that, we just push it all back out, and that gives us great joy. Right, the amount of joy that Joe and I and the rest of the guys get from seeing somebody win something that like we've been able to give them through just bringing people together to build relationships and play magic. Sorry, pun there. But yeah, it does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of investment. But as long as your motivations are right, then it's not onerous, it's not a chore. We really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 100% right. I think that's the thing as well. You've sort of hit it on the head there a little bit. You know, it's a bit like we all have jobs, whether we like it or not. That's what we have to do. Nobody would do the stuff that we do just for, you know, if you weren't invested in it, nobody would do it. I mean, I dread, the same as you guys, I dread to think the amount of hours I've sat on my phone just doing research for stuff, you know, let alone actually doing the content, you know, the things you know, look into. I know Dom's very, very good at learning about the stuff that's up and coming. He's normally one of the first people I know that he'll send me a message. Have you seen this secret layer? Or have you seen this? Because I know he's got his finger on the pulse. And it's always great having someone like that, because I am terrible at it. I am absolutely terrible at it. So to have Dom there, you know, dragging me kicking and screaming along the ride is fantastic, because it means I learn all this stuff as well. It is great. But again, we're all talking about the same thing here, which is, you know, we're doing stuff together to help each other and help the community we're in, effectively, isn't it?
And you know, you touched on a great point there, Alex, because you say Dom supports you in an area that maybe you're not so good at, which is keeping up to date with the latest stuff. And I'm sure it's probably the other way around too. And I think the beauty of the committed, no.
Dom's definitely the brains.
Take that one, Dom.
In fairness, yeah, you like standard a bit more than me. Keep up with that and legacy, vintage, all that kind of stuff. 'Cause you've attended like international tournaments and that kind of thing, don't you? So obviously you know a lot more about it, that kind of aspect of Magic than I do. So.
And I think, you know, this is the point of, and the whole idea behind the committee was, we've ended up with a really well-rounded kind of guild, because there's stuff that I'm good at that maybe Sam isn't so good at. I know there's plenty that Sam is brilliant at that I suck at. Like we've got Bill and Lee. I nearly said Bill and Lily, then it completely threw me. We got Billy and Lee, who, you know, are just incredible tattoo artists and massively creative. So, you know, they're doing so much at the moment behind the scenes on designing new bits, and we've got some pretty cool ideas for the future. And I know you asked about the future, Alex, and I never really answered, and we'll probably talk about that at the end. But you know, they're offering so much more creativity that I could never do. And I think that's what's so brilliant about it, is we all bring our strengths to the table.
I think there's something about the people in the community as well. So outside of the committee, we've got, you know, in all those different threads in the Discord and all of the engagement that we do, I know that if I put something in like the rules chat that I need to check a rule, like Josh and George will be in there within like a split second. So they might not send a message for like a week. They might obviously be busy doing other stuff, but as soon as the rule comes in, they'll be in there and they'll tell you what you need to know. Same with the spell table crew. Same guys every night. Anyone want to play spell table, everyone starts ducking and diving in. It's so nice to see everyone's got their little niche, the stuff that they're good at, the stuff that they support with.
And actually, sorry, I was just going to say, sorry, Alex, I'm going to jump in there and shout out actually the champions who we haven't mentioned yet so far. You know, we've got the guild champions who, again, are just people in the guild that are super engaged or are going the extra mile to try and organise smaller bits within the community. And that ranges from spell table to just like, what do they call them? Like Sunday shuffle sessions, which is horrible for me with a list to say. But, you know, like they're still there. And again, it's just that idea of crowdsourcing it, that the effort is so important.
I think, look, I think if you look at anything that we consume in terms of media, so YouTube's a great example about this. I can, you know, I don't watch a massive amount of it, but something like Mr. Beast, it's not just him. He has got a massive team behind him to do all this sort of stuff, because that's what it takes to get to that level and that height. And I don't think anyone could do anything like he does by himself. I know the old school YouTubers, they were very, very minimal, you know, your PewDiePies and stuff like that, but they'd still have editing staff behind them to help them out. You know, you can't, I think you've just made a really good point there. You know, Bill and Lee, you know, I know they've taken a little bit of a sort of step back at the minute because they've got other projects on the go, but they are still the creative driving force behind the Artoria Guild. And look, being creative can be bloody knackering. You know, it's one of those things where you know, you kind of sit there and you'll trawl over, or you'll sit there, you know, writing or designing something, or you're writing a script for something, or you're giving yourself ideas. It's tiring stuff, you know. So it always makes me laugh whenever you hear people. I work with a lot of different type of people as well, so you'll hear sort of members of the public will talk about, oh, you know, I don't understand YouTubers, and you know, they basically just sit in front of a camera and play a game, and it's like, that's hilarious. Because I tell you what, I mean, I'm certainly not a YouTuber, you know, but just from the production stuff that I do, I know what's invested in it. I know the monetary side of it, the time invested in it, and I am nowhere near these guys. So do you know what I mean? So sort of sit there and be like, but it's like anything, you know, you sit there and you'll watch a thatcher put on a new thatch roof, and you kind of sit there, and I think we've all been guilty of this, of certain scenarios. You look at it and you think, God, they've made it look so easy, and they make it look so easy because of their talent and their support around them to do the job effectively. So, you know, it's good that you guys have got that support, because it means there's more people to support you to build the guild up effectively, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think that having that community again, because I know we're focusing on community, but having that is so important to drive you on, because we all love the game, we're all busy, we've all got lives, and sometimes we have to take a step back, or, you know, do whatever we need to do. If you've got that collective to give you that energy, then, and you've got and most importantly, I think, the right motivation. So for us, it is truly to give back, because we want to grow a community. There's nothing personal in it for us. We love playing Magic. We love supporting people.
Yep.
You've got to have that drive. I mean, you look at, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about the Professor? You think where he came from, and now he's got 1 million subscribers. Like, he's probably been churning out content for years with like 4 views. Now he's got a huge production team around him. He can employ people, you know, and that's all because you can tell his values are really there, aren't they? They're like core and central to him around what he wants to do. So I think that's really important if you can get like-minded people to support him.
100%, 100%. I think, yeah, I get really behind that as well. But I think as well, particularly with the Professor himself, he believes in what he does, and you can physically see it. You know, the passion just pours through, and you know, the secret layers thing has obviously become a bit of an ongoing joke, but he is obviously, you know, he made a prediction in the early days with The Walking Dead, and he was bold enough to stand on a pedestal and say, I don't like this. And he still doesn't. But he's had an acceptance because the rest of the community has. He's still got his views, like we all have our views. And that's the key thing to a community as well, which is, or being part of a community, is to put more into it than you take out of it, whether that be an idea or even just your attitude. But the one thing that no community wants is that one person that will sour a community. Like, no one wants that today.
And
I think sorry, Dave.
I was just going to say, mate, like, I think what we're all kind of talking around is, but we haven't kind of called the word out yet, is really the values, right? If you look at the Professor, right, he's had these really strong values from day one. And around, like, I always go to the Professor if I'm like, oh, how good is this deck box? I basically have bought into the most insane game-genic ecosystem. I don't know if we can swear on this podcast or not. I don't know if we're avoiding the E-way rating. But I've got like the Bentley of deck boxes. The thing weighs a ton. Okay, all game-genic because of the Professor. Because I bought it because I was like, he put his name to it, so I know that. And I know he isn't going to take a paid commission to put his name to something because he's said it so many times. I mean,
I went in on that Kickstarter. It's like it's the best deck box I've got.
They are very, very good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very, very
and unfortunately, I wasn't into Magic kind of at the right time to get that. And it's such a shame. But you know, and I think what we're looking at and what we're talking about here is that sense of value in that. Actually, what does the community stand for? And you know, we've talked a lot about this in the committee, and we've had lots of different chats around how do we make sure that the values are the same, which is like, you know, that inclusivity. Everyone's got to sit at the table. We don't want people who are going to make people feel little or bully or anything like. And you know, if that happens, and if that happens in any of our communities, we shouldn't turn a blind eye. You know, and it should be dealt with properly. And I think that's meant that when everything else is going on and stuff is happening in the wider, let's say the bans, for example, or Commander's changing or whatever, those values are what keep you on the kind of straight and narrow. And I was at a work event actually this week, and they said a quote which had really stuck with me, and I actually wrote it down. It'll be going on the wall in the new office, which is, if you build your ship well, it will weather any storm. And that just kind of like really stuck with me, you know, and I think that's what we're trying to do. And I think that's what a good job by everyone involved in Artoria, you know, from the brand new guildies all the way up to the people who are the first in has always done.
Yep. I think that's actually a really it's a really good quote, and actually I think you can apply that to a lot of things in life. You throw anything up quickly, it's probably not going to test the time sort of thing.
Yeah.
But okay, look, we've talked about what you've done so far. What's on the horizons for the guild? I mean, I know obviously, unfortunately, I can't attend it, but your next event is actually at our local game store, Langdon's, which I'm gutted I can't attend. Unfortunately, I will be in shorts and t-shirt in Las Vegas at the time. So.
Oh no!
Really
And you know what's even more devastating for the guys? They probably don't care about that. Is that I won't be there either.
Oh no!
Because I'm at Comic-Con in London on that Sunday.
Oh no way!
I'm getting this giant card signed by the voice actress from Baldur's Gate 3.
That's wicked.
For the event, which I tried to do last time.
Cards.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, I won't be there. But everyone needs to go on the Discord, check it out, sign up, get a ticket, and then head down to Langdon Games.
Come on down. I love you're going to be carrying a giant card around you, Dom.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, at least I've got a card. Basically, it was just after another Command Fest event when I drove my poor old Mitsubishi through a flood, and didn't then have it to be able to carry that card down to Comic-Con. But this year, finally, I'm going to get that done.
You will. Nice. What's the future? I don't know.
So what we're really saying here is we're really endorsing what you guys are doing, but neither me or Dom are going to be there.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a disgusting display from us, isn't it?
It is. I'll be honest with you. We really have let the team down because we both love supporting you guys. But look, just joking aside, if anybody is listening to this, this hopefully should be going up before that event. Please feel free to drop down to Langdon. Get involved with these guys. You will have a fantastic time. I've been to many of your events and loved every single something. I've said to you guys many a time, I absolutely love the guild and I love being a part of it. And I would just implore anyone, if you're new to, I doubt new players will probably listen to this, but if you're new to the game, if you're old hat of the game, you just want to go have some good, clean fun, go play some good, clean Commando with some good other people. Head down there and also, support Langdon because they are a fantastic LGS. I cannot say enough about them. I'm looking forward to talking to Matt soon on the pod. But yeah, 100%. But tell us a little bit about the event. What have you guys got in store for it? What special things you've got going on down at Langdon? Why we're not there?
So we always try and have events at the same type of format, as you'll both know. I think for the future, it's just about making sure that feels fresh. But thing of which, again, in terms of that value piece for us, has been that it should just be a casual environment. People shouldn't feel pressured. It shouldn't turn into a pub stomp. It shouldn't be super competitive. I mean, people can self-govern in pods, of course, but everything that we try and do in terms of our events is just about maximising people's existing experience. So, like, jam some Commander, self-govern, have a great time, and incidentally, you'll win stuff. Even if you lose every game, you could win something. So that's the beauty of it. You'll get freebies. You could come away with something really good, and most importantly, you'll probably make some new friends. So it's great. So we just want to keep iterating on that, make it fresh, keep expanding to different places. So we've done a lot in the east of the country. We've got some nice affiliations with some big LGSs now, and players in that kind of space, which is really promising. I think Joseph and I were saying before, we think we've done an event every month since first quarter of this year, and that is that bit that you were both reflecting on before around that kind of how much time you put into it. I mean, this is like Joseph and I and Glenn and the rest of the committee putting out countless emails, phone calls to like like owners and stuff. Like, can we come? Here's why. Here's what we do. So yeah, we just want to keep doing that, and we're going to try and have a bit of an anniversary event actually, back where it all started. But we'll work that one out.
Nice. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's. I think it's, you know, the idea and what we've done over the last couple of events, and we've been really open with our members on this, is we've actually started taking a cut of the entry fees to events and using it as store credit. And what we're then doing is we're buying stock from the store, you know.
Yeah, cool.
And so the idea being is, one, the store still gets the money kind of one way or the other, but also it allows us then to get something that we can then give back into the community. And we mentioned the big giveaway we're doing. I mean, it's mind blowing. I kind of laid everything out on our dining room table. I was like, shit, okay, I'm going to be doing a lot of post office runs, like, in a little bit. And you know, I think the whole concept that we have at the moment, and that value of giving back, is going to continue. And it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And I think we've got potentially an idea of a long-term vision, which I won't speak to now, because you know, we've got to have some excitement and secrecy, right? But I think, you know, definitely over the next kind of year, our real plan, as Sam mentioned, we've done a lot in the east of England. We've got our core group now. I think over the next year we're going to be. We've already got two. We've got Langdon. We've got Elite Gaming Cafe up in Colville, so we're heading up north next. And you know, we're going to keep kind of bringing the message out to different people in the community. So I think for the moment, it's excitingly just further geographical kind of locations and expansion kind of happening in the very immediate. And I don't know, I can definitely see next year, and I know, Sam, we haven't kind of discussed this loads, but I can probably see an increase in frequency in events kind of next year, which are far apart in terms of geography. Because like, we're desperate to get back to Chelmsford, but on the monthly rotation, it's going to be 6 months before we get back. And we want to go give some of the players around there something else and something more. And, you know, that's definitely, I think, probably going to be our next kind of area of looking, is actually how can we do maybe more events, but keep the exciting kind of keeping it feeling special too.
Yeah, and I think that's the tricky bit, isn't it? I mean, maybe there's two tricky bits. First is growing a community out of nothing, and like unbelievable what Billy and Lee have done there. But sustaining a community is another thing, like keeping people engaged, continuing to grow it, and holding them against those values. That's a really tricky thing. So that's the focus for us, I guess, over the next year or so. We're in a growth phase, and we've done incredibly. We've built this insane community and we love it, but it's how do we maintain it, make people feel included and keep it going. So yeah, a lot more emails out, time and effort from the committee members and the champions on that.
Yeah, I suspect you guys are probably effectively like building a community. I want to make it something clear. These two things are separate entities, but they are very similar in respects of how you build a business, which is that again, coming back to your cause and your values, doing a good job, you know, just being yourself, you know, inviting other people to, you know, to help other people, and then in terms of help you sort of thing. But equally, you've probably hit that point the same as a business where, you know, you've started to see this upshot in people coming along, which is absolutely fantastic. But you don't plateau at that point. You keep going up and up and up and up. And the steeper the curve of going up, the more you have to put into it to keep it fueled and keep it going, and then it will grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So, you know, I'm really excited to see what the next, you know, 12 to 18 months sort of does for you guys, because I think, you know, personally, I can see it growing very, very well, and I'm really excited to hear that you guys are now venturing out of the east. I mean, I'm sure that makes logistics a lot harder, but equally, look, that could then lead to even more growth, and you never know, you could end up having, more events run by people associated with the guild that are, again, they are like the single source person to go to that is there to help and build that community in their area, but it's all part of one big community. And when that community comes together, like, that's what it's all about. That's what I can see.
Yeah,
I think if we can maintain that, and this is the beauty of what we've tried to do, engagement with the LGSs, which are also part of that community. And we desperately want to support LGSs, and we know that they get stuff. They get product from WotC and other bits and pieces. So for them, it's very limited output, but huge input, because we bring new players in, meet new players, we grow the community, they grow themselves. So it's win-win for everyone. So we just want a whole holistic, the whole Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's been brilliant, actually. And we should shout out both Geek Retreat, Chelmsford, and Stevenage, because those were the guys who actually took a bit of a chance on us at the beginning to give us the space. But like that, what's been brilliant to see is the guild has become a conduit for them to give back to the community as well. Like, they've donated so much stuff to give away. Like, we've got a Gandalf the White foil poster and it's like I've got it upstairs, and I'm going to be gutted when it goes, because I want it in the office.
Is that mysteriously going to go missing by any chance, Jeff?
Yeah,
you'll mysteriously win that part of the competition.
Oh
no, I won!
Yeah. How did my name get in there? And we've got like Collectors Cove, who are a shop who I've never met. Nick at Collectors Cove, never met. Okay. And we just said, look, do you want to come and be a part of it? He's given away a deck already, an entire Commander deck. We're doing some more bits with him. But it's just been brilliant to see it also be that conduit for the LGS to give back. You sometimes feel it's a bit like a Robin Hood style, we're trying to get all the promos back and out into the community. And it's so cool. So cool.
Yeah, I mean, effectively as well, what I'm hearing from this as well is a you're talking that basically the community you're building is still part of that LGS community, because I truly believe that our local game stores are the backbone of this game. I truly believe it. And I know, yes, you could play this game without even stepping foot into an LGS with online sales and that sort of stuff. But that is not what it is about. For me, that is not what it's about. It is about that going down to the communal place where you all want to go and play the same game. And I got a really good quote from John Avon once, when he sort of said, "It's about the magic of the gathering," and that has really stuck with me, because he is so right with that, because that is exactly what it's all about. It's about the people you come together with, which then makes me think of the community that you guys are harboring quite nicely. Not harboring, building really, really nicely. Right. So, guys, look, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Talking about community has definitely been something that I know both me and Dom have really wanted to discuss. And I'm so glad that we had you guys on talking about the community you're building. And like I've sort of said, I love being part of it. But for anyone that's listening that wants to get in touch, or wants to join the Discord or get involved, where can people get in touch with you? Where's the best places and whatnot?
Yeah, I think the Instagram is kind of like our main public social channel. Sure. So we're Artoria_Guild, and the link will be below in the podcast description. And then from there, we've got a link to our Discord. So the Discord, they find out about all the events first, all the giveaways first. We do Discord-only giveaways as well that we never even put on Instagram. So the Discord is really the heart and soul of it, and the Instagram's kind of the conduit into that, I'd say.
Yep, perfect. That sounds good to me. And I know, I like I said, I speak for both me and Dom when I say this, but definitely, if you're listening to this and then you're interested, you should definitely get involved in that Discord and get down to one of the up-and-coming events. They are extraordinary good fun. Joe and Sam, I want to thank you for jumping on the pod. We've loved having you on. We'll definitely have to get you back on, and we can talk more about that growth of community.
Thanks for having us. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you. So, guys, thank you for watching and thank you for listening. As always, all the information, we'll have the Artoria Guild's information down in the show notes and down in the description. But what do you guys want us to talk about? You know, we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what subjects you want us to talk about. And so we look forward. So get down in those comments or feel free to send us a message and hopefully we'll get on those talking points. Dom, anything else before we sign off?
I just want to say, yeah, support your LGS because, yeah, providing this play space is something that's often undervalued. So, yeah, if you're paying an extra £1, who cares? Get down your LGS and support them.
I am 1,000,000% behind this, and I know both you guys are as well. You know, they are like we've said a million times, they really are the backbone of our community. They really, really are, 100%. 100%. Okay, so again, thank you for listening, everyone, and we should be back hopefully very, very soon. We've got a nice, exciting pod coming up. I'm not going to say anything about it, but I know you guys will thoroughly enjoy it as much as we're going to enjoy recording it. So until next time, we'll see you then. See you later.
See ya.